In this video, I'm going to give you the answers you're looking for on structured private placement programs. The term joker brokers use is called trade. I'm going to give you all the basic information you need to know. You've got to watch this video. Nothing that I offer in this video should be considered as legal financial advice. The purpose of this video is strictly for entertainment and educational purposes only.
So what is a private placement program and trade? And what is this about? When did this whole thing get started?
Private placement programs are high yield investment programs that were invented in the World War II. Sako, I want to invite you to, if I can invite you to think about something. The US dollar today is the governing currency around the world. Would you say that's somewhat true?
Yep.
Would you be willing to consider when the Roman Empire was in existence, there was no agreement around the world for US dollar to be the prominent currency around the world, right?
Right.
Persian Empire, US dollar didn't exist, but there was no agreement for that to be the currency around the world either, right? So a lot of these things, including the IMF and including the US dollar being the currency of the world, happened to something called the Brent Accord. This is when delegates from around the world went in for, I'm going to summarize it to say a meeting, to come up with what's called banking structures. What's the currency of the world that we can agree on? What's this, what's that, what's IMF, set this up, set that up. In that, they created what's something called, that's now referred to as a private placement program or trade. Basically, governments in Europe in the end of World War II were bankrupt, and they needed cash to build schools, hospitals, roads, infrastructure, and they needed a vehicle. I'm going to say the wrong way. This is the wrong way. They needed a way to create money out of thin air. Now, if you Google the word print money out of thin air, you'll see even books written on it, on how central banks or financial institutions print money out of thin air.
Now, wasn't it based on like the value of gold that the countries have that you could then print money? Was that what the de facto was at that point?
The Nixon Shock, it's called the Nixon Shock, was when President Nixon said the US dollar no longer has to be backed by gold. And that invented something called fiat currency. That's what currency is. It's fiat currency. It's not backed by gold. And it allows you to print as much money as you like to. And that's what's referred to, and you can Google the term Nixon Shock. But that has nothing to do with private placement programs, especially not directly. Private placement programs was the governments in Europe saying, look, we're bankrupt, we need cash to do X, Y, Z. And what they invented as a program was called as private placement programs. Now, they needed something different after World War I. Government poured a lot of money into the economy, and that created massive inflation. And of World War II, they didn't want to repeat the same mistake. They needed to create program structures that would fund infrastructure building that wouldn't drive inflation. So private placement programs became one of the programs that was invented. But basically, this is how it works today. Let's say the Central Bank of United Kingdom, as an example, wants the credit rating of its people to go up because the world runs on credit today. So the Central Bank of UK will call 8 commercial banks and says, hey, we want to run what's referred to as a private placement program. The central bank will give you, Zako, your bank, something called collateral, because for you to do any kind of financing or funding, you need collateral, right? So let's say I'll give you a bond for $1 billion. I'm just making this up. If you are a trader, what's referred to as most people understand the term private placement program trader, although that's even that by itself is not accurate, but let's say private placement program trader, you will sign up 7 to 8 non-disclosure contracts with the central government, knowing that they want to enable credit rating of its people to go up. The trader signed a contract with the central bank. Once the trader has a collateral in their hand, it could be a bond, it could be a standby of credit, medium term, whatever the collateral is, the trader then does something called structured finance. He goes to his employer, which is a bank, as, hey, Mr. Bank, you know Starbucks sells coffee? Starbucks sells tea, Starbucks sells sandwiches, Starbucks sells water. Guess what? The bank sells medium-term notes, standby credit, like they have products and services. So it arranges for, let's say, I'm just bringing this up, a medium-term note to be bought or to be sold at a certain price. And then the trader calls people who buy medium-term notes and says, hey, Mr. Family Office, hey, Mr. Pension Plan, hey, Mr. Whoever, do you want to buy a medium-term note at these prices? So he gets a contract from people that are willing to buy the medium-term note at a certain price. He's got a contract from his employer on selling the medium-term note at a certain price, and then he creates something called profit. So I'm going to sell a medium-term note for $100, but this guy's going to buy it for $148. The other guy's buying for $160. The other guy's buying for $150, like that. Once he has the contract for the buy and the sell locked in, he has the collateral. Now the bank needs something called capital. It's illegal for a bank to use its own money for itself. I don't know how else to explain this. It's illegal for a bank to use its own money for itself. The bank, by law, needs outside money. So the trader, all he does is he walks down the hall. And the example that I talk about is a real guy called Lou. And he goes down to the wealth management division of HSBC and tells the guy who is responsible for the Apple account, Amazon account. The other guy is responsible for Meta, Facebook. The other guy is responsible for IBM. Because look, I'm running a private placement program. If I can get so much money of your clients, remember the bank can use this own money. If your clients can put so much money in it, what the client will get is less than 100% a month. I'm just making this up. Apple guy calls his client. Amazon guy calls his client. IBM guy, wealth management advisor, calls the client like that. And they call the client and say, look, we got something called private placement program going on. You, Mr. Client, have $2 billion parked in my account, in my bank. How would they know that? Because the guy works at the bank. You have $2 million parked in my bank. If you put $100 million into this program, what you get off is $100 million a month for 10 months. Well, how on earth are you generating $100 million a month for 10 months? Is this. Once $100 million goes into the program, the central bank gives the bank a minimum of 10 times multiplier. So $100 million gets $1 billion line of credit. The trader has collateral. He's got the contract from the buy and sell side. Now he gets $100 million. He goes to his boss. Boss is the wrong word again. He goes, I'm just simplifying it. He goes to his boss and says, look, I got the contract for the buy, the contract for the sell. I got the collateral, and I need a credit line based on $100 million. He gets $1 billion. He buys $1 billion of medium-term notes from his own employer, being the bank, $1 billion, and he sells those $1 billion to pension fund hedge funds. And he makes a lot of money on that. Generally speaking, by default, he gives half of it to the client who deposited $100 million, and he keeps the other half for the bank itself. So he's actually, in reality, doing 200% a month from the buy and sell of medium-term notes or SBLCs or whatever he's structured in a structured finance program. How you and I see it is when you open up your TV, you see Amazon's open up a data center in Ireland, and they're hiring 80,000 people. That's how you see it. This large employer has opened up whatever they've opened up, and they're creating so many jobs because the Bread Accord or private placement programs, the intention was designed to create jobs, to create infrastructure. So that's how you see it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So the private placement program trader will tell the client, Amazon, as an example, you cannot do this more than 2 times with me. Why? Because then everybody else will be as rich as Amazon is. Or you cannot do this more than 4 times with me. Why? Because everybody will be as rich as Jeff Bezos is. Right? So they can only do it so many times. Typically, when the client gets $100 million a month for 10 months, generally speaking, I can't say specifically, the deal would be 80% has to go towards infrastructure spending, project financing, all the activities that creates jobs. And then the other 20% is what Amazon keeps in the, I'm going to say the wrong way, in their pocket. I'm using Amazon only for example purposes. I don't want to get a call tomorrow from some junior accountant in Amazon saying some nonsense because, but that's how private placement programs work today. The history of it, how it was invented.
Is there a person named Brent? You said the Brent Accord or something. Is that?
Oh, yes. So it was a former U.S. senator. Okay. In a nutshell, he didn't want the U.S. to be responsible for the financials of European countries because they had just defeated Germany. And sometimes when a country goes down, U.S. has to go and fund the country, whatever else. He didn't want to find his country doing that. So that's why it's called the Bread Accord.
Yeah. Oh, that's quite interesting. So you've given me the mechanics of it all. My funds are blocked. How does that work mechanically?
So now let's say you have 10 million, you have 20 million. This program, these high yield programs don't work if you have $500,000.
Right.
$500,000 could be a lot of money to some people, but multiply $500,000 by 10 doesn't get a trader any substantial amount of money. So you need to have 10 million liquid cash. You need 100 million. You need some, like a serious amount of dough for that some amount of dough to get started. I would say minimum 10 million for sure. There are private placement programs that happens with the top 20 banks in the world or family offices, where they'll say, hey, we have a program going on this month. Here's what it looks like. And the language they give you is called block funds. Block funds, it gives you the illusion that the money's in your account is blocked. So you have a lot of high net worth clients, they read the headline, block funds. I'm looking for block funds. My funds should be blocked. So that's the concept perspective. I'm going to talk about technicalities, the real technicalities and how to do it. So the real technicality is this. You, the client, wants to go in a private placement program, you have to find a trade that's going on with one of the banks that you want to go in. And assuming you have two things. A project that requires financing. Why? These programs are not designed for John to become rich. These programs are intentionally, legally, ethically, morally, spiritually, were designed to create jobs. A lot of joker brokers forget to mention that. They refuse to implement that because they're trying to get a commission out of it. So they sell, excuse my language, bullshit.
So that's a really good thing to know when you're actually talking to people who are espousing being able to create private placement programs.
100%. So how it happens is that if you want to go in a private placement program, and let's say you have 10 million, 20 million, 500 million, whatever it is you have, what you have to, once you have a trade going on and you've got the trade, what you have to is you have to call your bank. Let me say this again. You have to call your bank and you have to say, I'm going to block this amount of money in the benefit of the following institution, the following financial institution. You're not blocking the 10 million in the name of Taimour Zaman. Well, actually, that's not. If you want to give me 10 million, that's no problem. But my jokes aside, my dry jokes aside, how you do it is you say, okay, I want to do, let's say, some bank, Barclays Bank, Deutsche Bank, whoever wants to do a trade. I found a trade desk. I found a trade. I want to enter it. And the trade says block funds. If this is illegitimate and it's run by joker brokers, they'll tell you a bunch of illegitimate things because they're trying to steal your money. Legally, ethically, how it works is you, the client, has to call your bank. You have to say, I want to go into a structured finance program to do project financing. It's not about getting rich. You have to use those correct words, those correct terms. I'm going to structured finance. I want to enter into a structured finance project to do project financing. How do you, Mr. Banker, block my money in favor of another bank? How do you, my banker, block my money in favor of another bank? Your bank will tell you what the procedure is. Not a joker broker who's never worked a day of his freaking life in a freaking real bank. The client, the owner of the money, has to call his own banker. There's no joker broker involved. The joker broker who pretends to have worked in a bank is just a bunch of BS. Your banker, who you have a relationship, will tell you, at our bank, this is how we go to heaven. Christianity, in Christianity, there's Catholicism, they have Protestants, they have Jehovah's Witness, all these versions of Christianity. Whatever your version of Christianity is, your church will tell you how you go to heaven. Not my church, not the other guy's church. Your church has to tell you how you go to heaven. What that means is you pick up the phone. Your banker, not some document that's come to you by a guy with a Hotmail address. Here's how we do the block funds in favor of another bank. Now that you have the structure on how it's done, you then, when you want to go into a structured financing program, what's called private placement program, you then tell the person, the bank that's going to do it, this is the structure you're going to follow. And you want to make sure that's a contract that the other bank, the one that has the trader, is going to follow. That's how you structurally do block funds and participate in private placement program. The biggest mistake people do, or it's a myth, if we're going to say that way, is they think if they have 10 million, 100 million, 30 million, they just say, here's my proof of funds. I'm going to give it to you. Now you're going to put me into trade. Well, if that was true, everybody who had 10 million, 30 million, 100 million would just become instant billionaires or trillionaires because everybody would do block funds. That's not how it really works. How it really works is the owner of the money has to call the banker. This is where a lot of joker brokers who they create these bullshit deals with their clients and say, I have access to a trade desk, but look, I'm not going to involve you in it. You have to put my name on it and your shareholders' directories. Like, you have no idea the stuff that my company sees. One fraud after another fraud after another fraud. In many cases, though, it's a joker broker pretending to have somebody's money who is not really their money. It's a waste of time and effort. Client has to call the banker. Banker, how do I do block funds in favor of another bank? Banker gives you the structure. You put that structure in a contract with the other bank, and that's how you do block funds, mechanically speaking.
Interesting. These programs evolved. Obviously, it was different when it first started out. So
Yeah.
it's probably a lot modernized version of what they started out with.
Yeah.
How they evolved.
So at the forefront of it, you've always had the big financial institutions that have trillions of dollars in assets that can participate in these programs. The no-name Bank of Africa, as an example, or the no-name private bank in the United States, as an example, they don't have the assets or the credit facilities or the credit rate to participate in any of these programs. So one of the big banks, that's how they all started. Then you have a bunch of family offices. You had organizations like mine that was like, okay, now that I've seen this work, I've participated successfully, I can replicate it myself. One version of how these programs have evolved is now you will see, let's say, family offices, as an example, in South America, in Mexico, in the United States, around the world, that will say, I'm running a private placement program and this is what I have to offer. That's one version of how these things have evolved. I don't want to say it's become easier. That's the wrong way of saying it. In theory, they've become easier to find. In reality, the number of fraud has exponentially increased. So I don't want to use the word it's become easier to find or get into. I can say the number of legitimate providers, options that a client has increased a little bit, but exponentially the fraud has exponentially increased. That's one version of how they've evolved. Another one that evolved is if you talk to smaller private banks that are doing the legal, legitimate small banks that are with, registered with SEC or FINRA, whoever they're registered with, which are regulated, especially FINRA banks. These are disruptive banks, small banks like that. They're using cryptocurrencies. So they're not using fiat currency to go into trade. They're using cryptocurrency to trade. And look, the returns are the same.
When did that start? When did they start using the crypto?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you that. That's something I couldn't tell you. Although I co-authored a book with a phenomenal Forex trader from HSBC, a banker, I couldn't tell you when they really started. I can tell you the adoption of it is still going on. I was in a South American country last week meeting a government that had requested for the expertise of our firm to come in with the top bank, compete against the top banks for structured financing. In that, I met the CEO of Swiss Bank, a fintech disruptor. He's doing cryptocurrency or leveraging cryptocurrencies, opening crypto bank accounts for clients. Like, now he's been doing his banking for 20 years. He's been a CEO of a bank for 20 years, but I didn't ask him how long ago he started with crypto. I want to know I don't have the answer to that question.
Which bank offers this to their high net worth clients?
I would say all the top 20 banks, 25 banks, they offer programs like this. But let me be accurate in my speaking. A bank has multiple divisions. There's retail division. Retail division does not offer this. There's wholesale banking. Wholesale banking does not offer this. There's capital markets. Assuming you have an account with one of the top 25 banks in the world, they have different divisions. The division this is a wealth management division. In some countries called private banking division, some other countries called wealth management division. But those divisions that deal with ultra high net worth clients of the top 25 banks would be the ones offering this type of program.
So let's just back up here. So I walk through the bank and I go to the teller. Do I say, hey, where are all the divisions here? Or do I actually speak to somebody in particular before I go to that bank?
I don't know who you bank with, but I would go to that company's, the bank's website. I would look at private banking, wealth management. I would call that number. I would make an appointment with that number. I would go into that bank. I would create something called a relationship with the bank. Remember, there's a massive reason why the word private is in front of the word banking. Private banking, there's a reason for that. The guy, Joe Schmuck, who thinks he's going to get rich, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that do this thing called looking for the shiny object. This is not for them. Generally speaking, my experience, they don't have the character to get an invitation to participate in programs like that. Now, if there's like 10 million entrepreneurs with shiny object that have that amount of capital, for everyone, there's, I think, 200 joker brokers that pretend either to run a private bank or they're intake officer to a private bank, or they've got direct access to. So, yeah. So who you would look for is you would look at the private banking division of your bank. You would open up an account with that division. You would build a relationship with them. You would demonstrate you have projects that require financing. And then you demonstrate how much cash you have at the bank. And if I'm going to say the wrong way, if you're well behaved, I'm sure you'll get a phone call.
How does it work in terms of timing? Like how long would it take from the time you said, oh, gee, I'd like to build a bridge in such and such place. I think I can get that contract. I'm going to deposit some of my funds into this bank. I'm going to show them my business plan, show them the partners, whatever. Like, give me an idea of timing, because everybody always wants to do things immediately, right?
100%. So if my firm was retained to help a qualified client,
like for instance, this country that you're talking about, the Latin American country, if that.
Forget the Latin American country, but let's just talk about ultra high network client wants to use my firm, Alphonse Global. From a timing perspective, they'll have to go to our website and they have to book a paid consultation call. So paid consultation call, because we don't solicit. That's why it has to be a paid consultation call. A lot of joker brokers don't like that. Guess what? They go to our competitors and they love it. But that's what happens, right? So a client will have to book a paid consultation call with us, and that could take a day or could take a month. Sometimes we like to take 2 weeks off. They're waiting for 2 weeks just to have a call. Then they have to give us their paperwork. They have to take our paperwork, our mutual and CA, whatever. If they need to get a lawyer, go get your lawyer to read all the stuff. If you like what 2,000 people have signed a contract with us, you like our contracts, you sign the contract.
Now, you would have to vet these people.
I have to vet it.
How does that happen?
So I have to give you my KYC. I have to give you, in your KYC you have to give me a bank statement. You have to give a hydro statement. So I know your address is what you said it to be. And I'm looking for a bank statement. Once I have all of that information, then I have to take you to a bank. From all the banks I work with, I have to see which one's running a private placement program. And then I have to introduce you to the compliance division of that bank. What a concept. I'm not introducing the guy who's got a Hotmail or Gmail address. What a concept. I'm introducing the compliance division of the bank. Now you have to wait for the compliance division to book a call with you. Trust me, compliance division doesn't have you on the front line. You may want to be number one in their call list. They have probably 15 people in front of you. So because compliance is doing whatever compliance does, they're not waiting to get 5,000 calls from me or my clients. So once you get a call from compliance, you have to go through a compliance call, give them all of your paperwork. That will take some time. Then you get a welcome email from the bank, and guess what the bank wants you to do? Very, very weird. Open up a bank account with that. All banks want you to open up a bank account with that. You have to do that piece of it, assuming you don't have an account with it. Then when you have the account, as part of the opening the bank accounts, that's when you get something called contract, for what joker brokers refer to as a private placement program or trade. Those are not the real words any of the real financial institutions use. It's around structured financing. I don't use the word contract, term sheet, LOI, whatever it is. And then they'll tell you the procedure, including if it is block funds. The procedure would be you call your banker, find out from your banker, how like that. Now, all that to answer your question of how long will this take? Part of this depends on how fast you're ready to move. Are you ready to sign all the contracts? Awesome. not ready to sign the contracts, you need a lawyer to review it, that takes a lot of time. You want to start this on December 15th when everybody's going on Christmas vacation? Now, assuming everything is ready to go from the time you call me to the time you go into trade, for the time you see returns, I would say about 60 banking days just to get into what's called a trade. And then for payment one to come out would be 45 days, 45 banking days, but the next payment should be every 30 days after that, 30 banking days after that. I don't know if that answers your question of how long it takes.
No, that's good. What are the alternatives to private placement programs? Are there any other alternatives to that?
A lot of banks, if you had come to my Dominican Republic event, where we had a former bank CEO for 10 days train people about what happens behind the scenes of the bank and how banks make money. A lot of people think banks make money on lending on mortgages or do overnight lending or provide fees for doing a assignment of credit, whatever it is. Let me tell you, banks issue letters of credit, monetize their letters of credit with another bank. Like there's lots of ways that banks make money. And so alternatives to private placement program is, remember there's that Luke guy, he's buying medium-term notes, he's structuring the buy and sell, so it just all happens bang, 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 bang. Well, the baby version of that is called managed buy sell of SBLCs, where the bank will say, we'll issue SBLC, we'll monetize the SBLC, but we're not doing 10 a day or 10 a minute or 10 a second. We're doing one every 90 days. So alternative to private placement program would be a managed by sell program. A lot of banks, when you deposit money in your account, they get a 10 times or 20 times multiplier. So in Canada, if I'm depositing, let's say $1 million in a private bank division of one of the top banks in Canada, my bank CEO is getting a 20 times multiplier on that. So what we've arranged with some of the banks we work with, given the volume of transactions we've done and qualified clients we've taken to a bank, we've now structured as something that the bank, not Taimour Zaman, not Alfonso, the bank gives a client a 5 times multiplier. So client deposits $1 million, they get $5 million at zero cost, but it's a loan. It's a registered loan. The client must demonstrate something called projects that require financing. Why? Banks do project financing. It's that simple. Banks don't do Taimour Get Rich programs. They don't.
And then they charge a percentage.
And they charge a percentage. Yeah. So the alternatives to private placement programs are managed by sell programs, capital enhancement programs. They don't have the returns, but they have fantastic returns compared to a saving checking account, or a much better return if you're investing in real estate. And by the way, these are my opinions. It shouldn't be considered financial, legal, technical advice of any kind.
Why do people have so many challenges finding, these kind of private placement programs?
One of the reasons people have challenges is that most people have a relationship with their retail bank.
With the which?
With their own retail banks.
Retail banks, right?
So whoever you bank with, more likely, if not always, you have a relationship with the retail division of your bank, which is not the division that talks to high net worth clients. So that's one. I'm going to say the wrong way. This is the wrong way. You have the wrong relationship within your bank. That's part one. Another one is how many people have 100 million or 50 million. Not a lot of people have money. Even you may be a high net worth client. You may have an account with the private banking group of your bank. You don't have $100 million. You don't qualify. Why would somebody call you if you don't qualify? Third one is that a lot of people that hear about this, unfortunately, hear about joker brokers. These joker brokers have never a day of their life work in private banking. They don't even claim, 2 days ago, some joker broker called me from Vancouver. True story. And he tried to tell me about some kind of assignment of credit, whatever. I said, dude, are you a bank or are you a broker? He wasn't answering it. He goes, I'm a strategic, some BS. I said, look, I'm just being straight with you. A bank or you a broker? And he goes, I'm a strategic, some nonsense. I said, dude, look, you're wasting my time. I'm going to hang up the phone. Are you a bank or are you a broker? He goes, well, the way you're talking, really, I'm not a bank. I said, good, so you're a broker. Okay, good. So now that I know who you are, So why a lot of people don't get into this program is that they have relationships with joker brokers that don't have real relationships with real platforms, real traders that are. Then I would say lack of knowledge, lack of trust, lack of trust. A lot of people from that I know will say, look, these things are too good to be true. How many people do you know? Well, actually, I shouldn't even ask that question. It's not appropriate. But look, if all my life I was born and raised in a household that says, thou shalt make only $5 a month, $5 a month, $5 a month, I'm going to grow up thinking all I can make is $5 a month. And that's true. So if somebody gives me $15 a month, it's too good to be true. So yeah, I'm not going to do that. Private placement program, most people know the more money you have, the more resources you have. I don't know how else to say it. The more money you have, the more access to resources you have, or access to better resources you have. Well, the same thing applies to banking. If you have $500 million, not $2 million, $500 million, you'll get a very different level of experience than any of the top 25 banks compared to if you have $5 million and you think you're a high net worth client.
Right. In terms of, you mentioned the joker brokers, are they all trying to rip you off, or are they,
No.
brokers coming to you to sort of actually fulfill what, like, they might have a client and even though they might not know what the hell they're talking about, bring them to you to actually say, no, he's the guy that actually knows what he's talking about. Is that the way it works usually?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a story. I had the privilege of meeting the Minister of Finance for one of the South American countries this year. It was a privilege for me. The person who introduced me to that minister to help with the restructuring of a country's debt was the advisor to a government, to a very high-level official government. In my company, All Funds Global, we put people in categories. Category one is customer. You're a customer, yes or no? Second category is called strategic partner or broker. Broker, strategic partner. In my world, that would be a broker. A guy who's brokering a conversation with me and the Minister of Finance of a country. That's being a broker. That's a legitimate broker. I have dealer brokers. I have venture capital firms. I have asset management firms who bring clients to us. They're registered with SEC, FINRA, or whatever regulator in their country that they belong to. I consider them to be educated, that understand about capital markets, private banking, and that. 98% of the other type of brokers are the guy who's an Uber driver. He will never tell you on LinkedIn he's an Uber driver, but that's how he's making his ends meet. But on LinkedIn, he will be a chief financier, structured finance, has access to private placement programs. Like he solicits, like, excuse my bullshit, right? Like that. And he's never a day of his life worked in a private bank. He certainly isn't reporting to the SEC like my firm does. Let me be accurate in my speaking. We reported, we found the SEC and FINRA law through a dealer broker. But yeah, that's what I call joker brokers.
So if a broker or a client can monetize an asset and enter a private placement program, is that possible? Like
in theory, it works. In theory, you can work that out, but a lot of people, especially joker brokers, don't understand that, and clients don't understand that. We get a lot of calls from clients where they have some asset. I'm going to give you the wrong example. I have 1,000 donkeys, 4 legs, donkeys. I have 1,000 of them. Can you monetize the donkey and put that money into trade? More likely you're a farmer, you don't have any education, you certainly don't have access to a private bank, or you're not banking with HSBC or whoever you're banking. Like somebody like that will call. I want you to be a bank, CEO of a bank. If Taimour Zaman calls, I says, I have a client, the guy has 1,000 donkeys. Can you monetize the donkeys and put it into trade? What you're asking the guy is, can I take 1,000 donkeys, give a value to it for a private student? And the guy who's got 1,000 donkeys, he's never worked. Maybe he has $1,000 in his bank account. You're going to make a multimillionaire. How likely is that? How likely is that? Seriously. So if a client has assets that they want to monetize, this is a part a lot of people don't understand. Banks have their own appraisers. Let me say this again. Banks have their own appraisals that they know and they trust. It doesn't get any simpler than that. A bank who's going to give you cash has its own appraiser. His appraiser who's going to fly in to see, are the 1,000 donkeys real? Are 1,000 or they're 100? The client has to have something called cash, real cash. You pay that up front. You can't risk that money. Don't call me. Call my competitors. Waste their time. Waste their time.
Leads me to what is the bare minimum that you need to get started for blocked funds? And
the absolute bare minimum.
What else do I need to qualify beyond just the money part?
You need to have a project that requires financing. You need to sign off that you're a high net worth client. If you're not a high net worth client, legally, anybody who takes you on is doing something illegal. So you have to demonstrate you have project that requires financing. Here's my project plan, requires financing. Here's my KYC. Here's proof of funds. I have a minimum of $10 million ready to go. That's the bare minimum you need to get in front of any legitimate bank that I know
of. Why can I see your credit facility or insurance before sending cash?
So some clients don't have $10 million. They'll have 5 million. They'll have 8 million. They don't have 10. Even they may have 9.8 million. It doesn't matter. You don't have 10. Bare minimum. If you don't have the 10 million, you have 9.8 million. You have 8 million. You have some small amount, not $5. Like not $5. I would say over $2 million. 1.6, 1.8, over $2 million you have. You should then send it to the bank. Send the money to the bank. So remember, when the bank deposits, they get 10 times multiplier. So now if you don't have the 10 million, you give the bank 2 million, you know the bank now gets a line credit for 10 million. A lot of people feel that's a risk. So what they will ask for from us is, can you arrange insurance on my deposit? Can you get insurance on deposit? The answer is yes. The stupid people, excuse me, will say, can you go get insurance before I give you the 2 million? This is what they're asking me. Call my insurance guy. I have a car I bought. I want to insure it. You know what my insurance guy will say? No problem. What's the VIN number of the car? How can I insure a car that I don't have the VIN number for? How is that possible? So a stupid client or a stupid lawyer representing a client will call and say, yeah, we have 2 million. We're ready to go. Here's project financing, but I want you to buy me insurance before I give you the 2 million. So that's the stupidity of that question. Now comes another stupidity, but it's not stupidity, but a lot of people don't know that. It's illegal for a bank to do enticement. I don't know how else to say that. It's illegal for a bank to do enticement. So if you want a bank or Alphonse Global to buy insurance on money or asset we don't have upfront, that's called enticement. That's illegal. So if people are looking for case studies, I'm looking for insurance before I give you the money. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the guy. I'm not sure I'm the firm for that. They should go find somebody else. Anybody who wants to work with Alphonse Global, they have to understand and respect the fact that we work with banks. What that means is that we don't provide any enticement activities. If you can trust a bank, please don't call me. Really that simple. If you have trust issues with a bank, don't call me.
Probably asked you this before, but what are the timelines to see results, actual results?
Once the program starts, within the first 45 banking days, you should start to see returns on the deposit or whatever the contractual agreement between the bank and US.
What do you need to get started on, like my file? What's the procedure?
Your KYC, proof of funds, a hydro bill that shows your address is truly what you say your address is, business plan for your project. Once you give me that, then I give you my mutual and the NCA, so that once I disclose who my bank is, your neighbor can call my bank. I give you my fee agreement. Once you sign that, then I set up what's called the compliance division of a bank. Not a guy who's got a Hotmail address. Sorry.
Which markets do you not serve?
I get a lot of calls from brokers, people that are brokers, and they'll say, I have a lot of high net worth clients. Christmas is coming. I'm having a Christmas party. Can you tell me what are your programs? What are returns you're offering? That's called, I'm not interested in that market. I don't serve that market. The guy goes, he doesn't say it this way, but I'm too lazy to read your website. Too lazy to understand what you need. Too lazy to understand what this looks like. Too lazy to buy a copy of your book, Structured Finance, or one of my books that explains these things. Private banking, my private banking book. Too lazy to have that stuff. That's the market I don't serve. This happens a lot. People will call and say I have $10 million or whatever amount of money they claim to have. At the source of it is not their money. At the source of it, the guy did a couple of transactions with a buddy of his. He tricks the buddy. Trick is the wrong word, but I don't have a better word. Tricks the buddy to say, look, I got access to this program, but only I can go into, not you. Let's sign a shareholders agreement or something that I can share your money to be my money. Honest to God, that's some version of fraud. The guy doesn't know he's committing, intentionally he's not committing fraud. He has a fear of being circumvented. He has a lot of fears. He's never participated in these programs ever in his life. So he comes up with some kind of a fancy way to show that money that's not his is his.
That he's a necessary middleman.
Those are the markets I don't serve. I don't have time to serve. The reason we charge some money to take one basic consultation call is to really remove any kind of a fraudster or anybody who's doing that call for work.
So which markets do you serve?
So I'm only interested in working with high net worth individuals who have projects that require financing and they have over $1.6 million and they're RWA, ready, being able to execute. I'm ready, being able to execute. Taimour, if you can be true, if your reviews on Trustpilot are true, if whatever it is that's true, and I can trust that you register with FINRA or SEC under a registered dealer broker, whatever else, and you can insure my deposit if I'm sending money or do block funds or whatever else, and I'm a decent human being. That's the only market I serve. I'm just at an age where I don't know if you can see my white hair. I'm like not 20 years old. I'm not trying to provide it to anybody. Don't like it. I have 10,000. I don't have 10 competitors. I have 10 million. Go there. Respectfully speaking.
I understand you're holding these live events. What is the next physical live event? And what can you explain these events? So what do you?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a presence on YouTube. The good and the bad is that our presence on YouTube, I have hundreds, thousands, millions of people who watch these YouTube videos. What I've discovered in my business, and I discovered accidentally, so when we have an event and people around the world fly in for my event, all of a sudden I become a real human being. It's as if I'm not on YouTube or if I'm on YouTube, I'm not real, like that, right? So I found value in doing events, physical events, sometimes webinars, but the challenge of YouTube is that I have joker brokers or fraudsters who go and they download my picture off the internet. They create fake profiles of me and they sell, excuse my language, bullshit, fraudulent transactions to human beings around the world with my picture. Thank God it doesn't happen every day, but it does happen a few times every few years. So that some idiot does that. We catch them, we spend a lot of money putting them in jail like that. Now, I want to go back to physical events. So private placement programs is one area where I would say a lot of people are saying, I'm very interested if this is real. I'm very interested if you can prove this is real. So December 11th of this year, we're having a webinar with CEO of a bank. So I'm not the one talking about private placement program. I have a CEO of a bank talking about, so if you don't trust me, dude, CEO of a bank. That's virtual event. Physical event, we're doing one next February. I'm not going to give her full name, but it's a lady, Houston, Texas, February, I think 27, 28. 2 days event with an actual trader. My invitation for clients who want to come in, bring your lawyer, bring your detectives, bring anybody you want to bring in to look at the woman that we are presenting with as a trader. Ask her questions like, if you're a trader, show me your Euroclear account. I better see billions of dollars of assets moving, cashing out. I'm going to do a background check to make sure you don't have a criminal record, like things like that. So if you can show you're a trader, These events are designed for people who are skeptical. You know, there are a lot of people who don't believe in heaven, if I can say this way. Come with your lawyer, detectives, 5,000, your trusted advisors. Meet my freaking bank CEO. Meet the actual trader, whether virtually or physically. Question the integrity of them. Come to your own conclusion, whether you think private investment programs are real or not. A lot of people, my competitors, don't have these types of real relationships. They don't. They all think that the guy that they have relationship is an intake officer or owner of a platform, but underneath the surface, that guy is an Uber driver having a really good sales pitch. I'm the only one in my industry that I know who gives the privilege. I'm giving the privilege to members of my organization who have projects for financing, projects that require financing and qualify. The opportunity of meeting a current bank CEO, not a guy who used to be a current bank CEO, to trader, the opportunity to meet them and say, are these things for sure real or not?
How do I find out more? Do I have to register, or how do like if I wanted to do it would be great to know where would I get that information?
Yeah, so people go to allfoxglobal.com, they register as a member. When you register as a member, then you get access to our events, handoff events. Then you have to see which one's a virtual event, which one's a physical event, and then you go to those events. My physical events has something called fee. It's not for free. I don't charge $5 for my event. You better have a big checkbook. When you give the fee, it's not enough. You have to give a KYC. You have to demonstrate a project for financing required. So if I'm going to bring an actual trader and she's trusting me, the people in front of the room are legitimate people, legitimate business that need help on structured financing. People participate have to demonstrate they're real, and these are things that
no tire kickers, huh?
No tire kickers, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'm a broker,
and
I have a client that's eligible for this program. How do I get them engaged and then I get compensated in the end? How does that happen?
So I don't do anything without a paid consultation call. We don't do anything without a paid consultation call. So either the broker says, I'm going to bite the bullet and pay whatever Alphonse Global charges for a consultation call, or I'm going to get my client to pay for it. Show up to the call 15 minutes before your client shows up. Say, hey, I want to be a broker. I'm going to bring a client to the call that you're not allowed to solicit to them, whatever, so you feel protected. Or you're paying for the consultation call. I'm going to bring a client to the call that's real. I watch all your materials. So I now know I'm not dealing with a person who's not educated. I want to be a broker. I'm going to demonstrate I have a project. The client has a project, we're legitimate. But before you talk to my client, after you talk to them and see they're real, I'm now going to give you my contact information as a broker. I want my broker paperwork first. So let me give you your marketing contract, your mutual and the NCA, so we're not soliciting to your client. Those clients cannot call us as so you're fully protected that way. Once that's handled, then now you have to disclose your client's information to us. We send the paperwork. When you look at the client's paperwork, you'll see your broker's name is on all the documents. There's no way that any of the law firms we use as paymaster are going to pay the client without paying you, because you are on all the documents as a broker.
I see. One last question.
Sure.
In terms of like how you actually came to be an advisor to a newly elected president of a country, what was the process of that? You obviously did business with somebody, and then why did they even think to bring you into the picture? And how did that happen?
I had gone to Europe.
Were you invited for? How did that even happen?
Yeah, so I went to Europe to work with a family office that we have vetted, that we liked, that we want to work with on obviously a confidential transaction. That family office has partners. One of their partners is an advisor to a government official in South America. That advisor was notified that we were flying to Europe to have a meeting, and they retained a organization to do a background check on me, my company, my team. So we went through, without our knowledge, we went through a background check. That's fine. They then flew down to Europe to be in that meeting with us. And they said, look, we advise the following minister. We would like to send you a formal letter. We've done a background check on you. So I was like, okay. So sure enough, 3 weeks after, we got a formal letter from the minister of this government organization to fly down and meet the president and some of the members of the cabinet to help the country restructure their debt. Not something that was on my expectation, something that's going to happen to us. So we went down for 10 days as met with 18 other delegates. There was only one bank CEO in those 18 from the guys came from Switzerland bank CEO. We're the only 2 financial institutions in the room. Everybody else was selling goats, sheep, and dogs. And I'm just joking. There was like energy and like whatever else the country needed. We did 3 presentations. The Minister of Finance wanted to have a private meeting with me. I've had my private meeting. They invited us to provide a contract. Internally, we are debating on, do we have the time, the resources, and then the desire to participate in a project that big? So we're in the evaluation stage of something, and it's an honor for me to have that opportunity. For people that don't have the money to do massive, deep background checks on me and my team, here's an example of a country that's done that on us, and then the advisor who's done that on us.
This is the question to ask. Did the entire cabinet buy your books or not?
No, I had to give my books for free.
Oh,
but no, I gave it to the minister. Hey, when I met the minister with 18 other people, I was the only author. I was surprised I was the only author. I said, hey, look, I looked you up. You don't come from banking. Here's my book on structured finance.
Did you sign them at least with the signature and everything?
Yeah, he actually asked me to sign it. I gave him my structured finance. I gave him my book on private banking. I give him my book on currency trading, and I give him my book on clearing settlement. But look, at the minister level, not everybody around the world who hires a minister of finance is hiring from the banking community or something like that, right? You're hiring a Harvard grad or what are these grads are from these fancy schools. I come from banking. If you don't know my world, and I don't care, respectfully, I don't care whether you're a Harvard grad or not. You got to know you got to know how these things work so I can do what I said I'm going to do.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Zaman. That was very enlightening. And well, let's do this every week. I think it's
100%. I will be sure for me. Thank you.
Hi, friends. I now want to take a minute and answer some of your frequently asked questions. One of the common questions I get a lot is, Taimour, we've learned a lot from you through your YouTube channel. How do we learn more? Can we fly down and meet your team? And the answer to all of that is yes, yes, and yes. But if you want to learn more, my first invitation is to become a member of Allfunds Global. You simply go to our website, allfundsglobal.com. You sign up to become a member for free. You get access to webinars, offshore events that we do, and content that we never, ever, ever, ever publish on YouTube. I promise you that it's worth becoming a member for sure. The second way that you can learn a lot is I'm a published author. Structured Financing, Demystified, Hypergrowth, just multiple books on Amazon that you can get access to. I highly recommend going and checking out some of these books, getting engaged into some of the stuff, that strategies and tactics that we're using for ourselves, for our families, for our friends. You definitely want to check these things out for sure. Another question, I guess, Taimour, why are you so passionate about getting a bank license? Why is that so important? Well, the truth is, our mission within Allfunds Global is to help businesses become self-funded for life. Imagine you run a coffee shop and I run a coffee shop. Imagine we buy the coffee beans from the same drawer and my coffee shop is right across yours, like really right across yours. Our competition is probably nil. But if you have a bank license and I don't have a bank license, and let's say I made $500,000 and you made $500,000 in income, but if you have a bank license, you are depositing a bank license with a central bank of the country where you own your own private bank license. Let me repeat this again. you are depositing your money with the central bank of the country you have your bank license on. So $500,000 deposited with the central bank should give you a line of credit of 10 times multiples. So that means you get a line of credit of $5 million. Now, it's not free money, it's a line of credit of $5 million. Now, if you draw that entire money out and you go to whichever country you're currently resonating in, the country you're doing business with, and you know in real estate, you want to buy a house, you put 20% down and you get a loan for 80%, same thing. You put $5 million down with a business plan to your local bank, whoever your bank with, and say, hey, I want to grow my business, my technology business, real estate business, pharmaceutical business, whatever business it is. I'm a venture capitalist. I'm putting $5 million down. Your bank gives you a loan at four times more, so now you get a $20 million loan. Now it's not free money, it's $20 million loan. What can you afford to do with $20 million that I cannot afford to do with $500,000? Could you invest in artificial intelligence? Could you invest in hiring better people? Could you invest in advertising? Hell, with that amount of money, could you even buy auxiliary businesses or invest in auxiliary businesses? I say you can, and that's why we within All Funds Global are so passionate in helping clients become self-funded for life, and getting a private bank license is one of the vehicles that I am personally very passionate about helping clients on. Another question, I guess, Taimour, you charge a consultation fee. All Funds Global, the team charges a consultation fee. Why do you charge a consultation fee when you guys can make so much money on the back end? It somehow slows me down from taking a credit card and paying you money for it. Well, here's the truth. We offer our content, millions and millions of dollars worth of content complete for free on YouTube. We don't advertise as of the date of doing this video. We don't advertise on YouTube, Google, or we don't do any kind of advertising at all. And what we find is the volume of traffic that goes into YouTube attracts people that are tire kickers, people that are fraudsters, people that have mental health issues. When we charge a small consultation fee, this deters the hacker, the fraudster, the person who's shopping around, the tire kicker. It eliminates all that and allows me and my team to be on calls or meetings with customers we actually want to do business with. What a concept. Now comes, this is better. At the time of doing a transaction with a client, that fee they pay for a consultation call, we refund it. At the conclusion of us doing a transaction with a client, we refund 100% of all the monies that they paid on consultation fees. This allows us to work with people that are committed to working with us, are serious about working with us, are not tire kickers, are not people that are like, they don't know what banking 101 is, and they're there to waste our time and energy. Just eliminates that. And me and my team are very proud of doing that. Next question, I guess, Taimour, the alternative funding industry overall has a lot of fraudsters in it, has a lot of deep fake in it. What are you doing to protect us, protect yourself? So here's the answer to that. Any industry that has a lot of money by default attracts a lot of fraud. Let me say this again. Any industry that attracts a lot of money by default attracts a lot of fraud. I don't know who you bank with. If you bank with one of the top 20 banks in the world, pick a bank you bank with, or you use payment processing companies like PayPal, these companies see a lot of fraud every day, from fraudsters mimicking their website to mimicking their email addresses, and in cases like mine, once a year or twice a year, some idiot, excuse my language, decides to copy my picture on social media, tries to create a fake profile of me, and goes on social media selling scammy transactions. Now, we have the technology and the resources to catch that, usually within 72 hours of that happening, and then cause legal action against that fraudster. We have the financial resources, thank God, to do that today, but that's just the nature of this industry. So what we do to protect ourselves is we never solicit on social media anything, nor do we solicit in general. We offer a lot of educational materials, but we don't solicit. You'll never see me or any of my associates on any social media trying to sell anything, ever. Second, all transactions that we do, money always has to go through a reputable law firm. All transactions we do, money always has to go to a reputable law firm. We never ask the client to send us money or anything like that. Now, I do want to take a minute and talk a little bit about my competitors. In the United States, in the US alone, US has 3% of the world's population, and they have over 60% of the world's lawyers. In United States, that's a fact, have 3% of the world's population and over 60% of the world's lawyers. I have a lot of legitimate competitors in United States and around the world, that unfortunately have been sued for wrongful things that other people have done. There's a lot of negative stuff on social media or websites about some of my legitimate competitors. And I want to tell you that a lot of my competitors are legitimate, they're hardworking people. I know them, they deliver real results. And unfortunately, they have negative comments or fraud or even lawsuits against them. The reason within Allfunds Global doesn't have a lawsuit against it, or me, Taimour Zaman, don't have a lawsuit against me, or people on social media saying that we're fraudsters or something like that, is simply because of my lack of vision. Every company you deal with, every major company you deal with, whether it's the cars you drive, Ford, Lexus, I don't know, GM, or Facebook, Google, YouTube, whatever you use, or medicine you have, like Tylenol, all of these companies have lawsuits against them. A lot of the companies you work with have litigations against them. It's just part of the growth. At some point, the business needs to grow exponentially, and that's when you have to see lawsuits as just the nature of the business growing. The fact that we don't have it is because of my lack of vision as the CEO and like trying to bark a tree like that. Now, I see that changing as we buy businesses that have other CEOs, as we grow. We have over 800 registered brokers with us. As that number grows, it's not normal for our business to continue growing without some idiot calling us fraudster, some idiot trying to sue us, or something like that. If you want to take advantage of the alternative funding industry, I'm going to tell you this is the industry I love. I'm going to tell you this is the industry that I've made a lot of money with. I'm going to tell you this is the industry I've helped a lot of clients make a lot of money with, friends and family make a lot of money with. And if this is an industry you want to get involved in, I recommend meeting the people you want to do business with, like physically flying out to meeting them. If you can afford to hire an investigator, we use a lot of former FBI, former CIA people. These are people you can hire to do background checks. It's not only do these people have lawsuits or not, or other losers calling them fraudsters or not. I'm telling you, a lot of my competitors are really good people, and they're not fraudsters. So do your own due diligence, listen to your intuition. We're really interested in working with some really good people that are vision-driven entrepreneurs that really want to serve the world, and I think we have some things that are really amazing to offer. Another question I get is, Taimour, we love all the services of Allfunds Global. What are the top 3 services you offer that we should really seriously think about, call you or your organization and get you guys involved? But my favorite service, the one that makes a lot of sense, is the trusted advisory service. This is when we become your chief banking officer. We work with your CFO, your legal team, the CEO, the COO. We look at where your organization is, where you want it to be. We look at banking programs that make sense for your type of business, that are proven and would work to generate access to alternative revenue sources for your business that makes sense. From that, we then create offshore tax structures, offshore bank accounts, offshore bank licenses for your organization, so the revenue gets generated has a channel to go to that is well protected. We have a lot of domain expertise that I do not share ever on YouTube. It's not like a lawyer who's like, go create a trust account and cooks out it. Like we don't do. We do some very sophisticated stuff that I'm very proud of. That's our intellectual property. And so the trusted advisory services, where we become a trusted advisor, is one of the things that I would recommend everybody to look at. It's a monthly retainer, you pay for it, but let me tell you, for every penny you put in, that you get tens of dollars out of it. And I think you're not going to get this amount of expertise dedicated to your business. So that's something I would recommend you to think about and sign up for. Second one is, if you're looking for access to capital, we have a lot of unique programs like Rent a Rich Uncle that we can support your organization as long as your organization is a successful business and not a startup, not somebody who's going bankrupt. It's a successful business that has real cash, real assets, and is generating something real, that's real growth. I think we have some avenues for accessing capital that others simply cannot offer. And the final one that I love is we have a lot of asset management structures that are very unique to our intellectual property that I'd love to share with you. If you have assets, you want to grow, you want to get bank license, you want to set up a trust, you want to work with multiple central banks, do some really cool stuff. I think I'm the only weirdest person that has real expertise and experience in doing this stuff. And so my name is Taimour Zaman from Finance Global. Thank you for following us up on YouTube. If you're doing that, thank you for trusting me. Thank you for trusting my team. And on behalf of my team, I just really want to say thank you. And we look forward to the opportunity of serving you.